How many times have you played an RPG where finding the best weapon feels less like a discovery and more like ticking a box, where every guide you find points to one sword or one bow? There's one build to rule them all. That's the progression treadmill, and Terraria absolutely demolishes it. This is a game that doesn't just give you options, it celebrates them. And the way it handles weapon progression isn't just good, I'd even argue it's a work of genius. Terraria completely throws out the idea of a formal class or leveling system. Instead, your identity is forged by what you can find, what you can craft, and most importantly, what you use. While so many of the games funnel you down a narrow path of boring statistical upgrades, they give you the same sword but just with a bigger number, Terraria gives you a massive and branching tree of possibilities. Its genius is the vast and varied arsenal of weapons that are genuinely viable, empowering you to forge your own identity from minute one and continue to reinvent it all the way till the end. This is a game that says play your way and actually means it. As you start exploring, you aren't just finding slightly better short swords, you're discovering completely new ways to fight. You might find a spear in a chest that lets you poke at enemies from a bit of safety. You could craft a boomerang and it's the first ranged melee attack. Maybe you'll even find shurikens and throwing knives, giving you a taste of the ranger playstyle without any real commitment. The game is teaching you, through pure discovery, that your options are incredibly broad. You can be a swordsman, a spear wielder, a mage, a ranger, all within the first hour. And the best part is, none of these choices are permanent. Terraria doesn't ask you to pick a class or put points into a skill tree. It lets you stumble upon a playstyle that you honestly enjoy. The progression also isn't just a straight line. The initial phase is just a sandbox of combat. The game encourages you to experiment by making a huge variety of weapon types available right from the very beginning. It respects you enough to let you figure out what's fun instead of just telling you what's effective. But this is just the foundation of the weapons. As you conquer your first few bosses and you venture deeper into the world, Terraria introduces armor sets with class-specific bonuses. Think the Necro armor for rangers, the Meteor armor for mages, or the Molten armor for the melee class. The incredible part about this is the sheer diversity within each class. So let's say you decide to be a melee player. That's great, but it doesn't just mean bigger swords. The melee class is a universe in itself. You could wield a broadsword that fires a projectile, like the Terrorblade. You could use a spear to keep enemies away from a distance. You can use a heavy flail to set people on fire like the Sun Fury. Or you could even master the yo-yo. Each of these offers a fundamentally different way to fight, and yet they're all under the melee umbrella. But this philosophy applies to everyone. A ranger isn't just a bow user. They have a massive amount of choice, whether that's a repeater, a fast-firing mini-shark, a powerful shotgun, or even a sniper rifle. And even on top of that, their entire playstyle can change just based on their ammo. You could use Jester's arrows that pierce through entire crowds of enemies, to using chlorophyte bullets that will home in on them. In Terraria, progression never feels like a checklist. You aren't just looking for the next sword that has a higher DPS. You're deciding, do you want to even keep the sword? Maybe you want to change it for a spear. Maybe even a gun, a bow, or a magic rod. The game is constantly asking you, how do you want to play? And if you think this is creative, Hardmode will blow your mind. Hardmode doesn't just give you stronger versions of what you already have. It introduces weapons that completely break the rules. The ranger gets the Daedalus Stormbow. It's a bow that makes arrows rain from the sky and absolutely destroys bosses like the Destroyer. The mage can find the Nimbus Rod, summoning a damage-dealing cloud that can be placed anywhere, allowing them to focus on dodging enemy attacks. Melee players could get the Death Sickle, a scythe that fires projectiles that pass through walls, which makes farming events a breeze. The creativity is boundless. There's the Onyx Blaster, a shotgun that fires secondary explosives. There's the Sanguine Staff that summons hyper-aggressive bats that can carry a summoner deep into the game. There's even weapons from special crossover events like the Dungeon Defenders 2 collaboration, which add an entire new tower defense style arsenal to your collection. This constant flood of new and mechanically unique weapons keeps the game fresh all the way up until the final boss. Progression in hard mode isn't like other games where it's just about making your damage numbers go up. It's about the thrill of finding a new weapon that fundamentally changes how you play. You might go from a grounded sword and shield warrior to some flying angel of death who summons rainbow-coloured cats with the Meowmere. It's a testament to a design that prioritises pure fun over some rigid balance. But before we wrap up, there is an elephant in the room. That elephant is the meta. In any game with this many options, a few weapons will eventually rise to the top for specific tasks. Yes, the Zenith is the undisputed king of swords for the endgame. And sure, for a speedrunner trying to kill a boss in the fastest way, there often is a best choice. But focusing on that is missing the forest for the trees. The brilliance is that for the hundreds of hours you spend exploring, building, fighting, an incredible number of weapons are not just viable, but fun. The gap between a meta weapon and a dozen other good weapons is often so small that your personal skill and preference matter so much more. The meta doesn't invalidate all the other options, it just offers a clear path for people who want maximum efficiency. But for everyone else, the game is just a massive toy box. With enough skill, you could beat the game with just yo-yos, you could do it with just boomerangs. The freedom to make those choices, and for those choices to be so powerful and so valid, is what makes this system a work of genius. Terraria's weapon progression is a masterclass in player empowerment. It sidesteps the linear grid of traditional RPGs and offers a sprawling landscape of meaningful choices. Real power doesn't just come from higher damage stats, it comes from finding a tool that matches your style and mastering its mechanics. The system celebrates variety, rewards experimentation, and trusts you to find your own path. If you enjoy this kind of dive into game design, please hit subscribe. I break down what makes your favourite games tick, and you'll get notified every time I drop a new video. And if you've made it this far, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.